This was a 22-year-old young white male raised by a conservative Mormon family. That's what this is.
And people, go look at the folks who were saying, oh, they had transgender messages, scribed on the bullet casings. Go read up what they actually said. Go read up
so
the
let's
police
talk
report.
about that.
You
Let's
got
talk
it?
about that.
Tell 'em.
Yep. So let's talk about that because that's more misinformation. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so this is what I've learned in doing my own research on this. It hasn't been officially confirmed, but some gun experts suggesting the bullets may have been produced by Taran Ammo. Such bullets are stamped with the manufacturer's mark TRN. And if such bullets were used by the shooter, allegedly, it's possible that an overeager bigot saw TRN and interpreted that as trans instead of Turin. So these are the facts that are being brought out by the investigation, by the report. And I did some research on this. It says TRN. It probably has nothing to do with trans. It has to do with the ammo company.
That would not surprise me at all, brother. At all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like something like, take this. I don't know if I can say that word, so I'm not going to say it. But go read up what the bullet cases actually said. And again, it doesn't lead me to believe that this was a left-leaning, Democrat extremist. It's somebody. And let me ask you this, Brian. What sense would this make for us as Democrats? What's the gain here? Because from where I'm standing, this whole situation is a lose-lose for Democrats and our agenda, really. So it's like, what did we have to gain from this? And my second question is, if this guy was dressing up as Donald Trump, clearly grew up in an area that was very conservative, Mormon, what flipped in this guy to go after Charlie Kirk, who is pretty much, an ally of Trump's?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I do also find it timely and interesting that Charlie Kirk, this is one of the few things I agree with him on. And he just said this last week that he wanted the Epstein files to be released. I'm not saying that was a motive for the shooter. All I'm saying is I find that very, very interesting. And then Donald Trump is asked a little bit more, how are you holding up the loss of Charlie Kirk today? 2 seconds he talks about Charlie Kirk, and then he starts rambling about other stuff. It's just the whole situation is very
baseball game last night.
Yeah, very weird. You're talking about a baseball game, and supposedly this was your friend.
You're at the baseball game doing this,
he has no empathy. He's a person. But Charlie Kirk is the guy that said empathy is a bad thing. It's dangerous. Now, what normal human being would make a statement like that? What normal human being would get on a plane and be worried if their pilot is black? These are the things that Charlie Kirk stood for. Okay, misogyny, sexism, racism, transphobia. And guess what? The last few seconds of Charlie Kirk's life, that's what he was talking about. He was, talking about trans shootings, and he said too many instead of saying the appropriate thing, which would have been, listen, there are very few people that have been responsible for mass shootings that are trans people. It's more of a gun problem than a trans problem. But no, he downplayed that, and he attacking trans and gang violence. What does he mean by that when he talks about gang violence? Black violence. That's what he's talking about. So the last words out of his mouth were, in my opinion, with racial tones. I mean, that's who Charlie Kirk was in the last 5 seconds of his life.
I mean, that's who he was, period. That's why I struggle to, responding with some of these people. They're doxing the left. They have a website dedicated to us where they're doxing all of us, and sending people after our employers and whatnot. I mean, these people have lost their minds. And Charlie Kirk, look, the facts are he was a racist and a bigot. Like, there's more than enough videos and statements from this guy to support that claim. Yep. I'm not pulling it out of thin air. It's not a partisan statement. It's a fact. The guy defined racist and bigot. So to see the government using taxpayer dollars, and by the way, if Donald Trump comes out and says, oh, I'm paying for Charlie Kirk shit, just want to remind you that all the money he has been siphoned out of us, the taxpayers. So we're still paying for it one way or the other.
I heard a story, and again, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard a story that Tiger Woods was donating some money, which and again, I can't confirm that or not. I've heard that from a few people. I don't know if that's true. I'm just amazed that anybody that would be a minority would do. Now, listen, if you care about his kids and his family, that makes sense to me. But Charlie Kirk is somebody that, for me at least, will always be remembered as a very hateful person who did a lot of bad. Now, if MAGA Republicans out there want to say, oh, he was this great person, he would have been the president one day. I hope he would have never been the president, but listen, people out there could have different opinions on politics, but to me, this isn't about policy. To me, this was about hate.
Hate, human rights, so many of us say this, we can disagree on policy. If you don't think we should fund, public schools, I don't mind having that debate with you on why it's a bad idea to defund public schools. That's a political debate to me. Right. But when you start debating about a person's, validity based off of their skin color, or you start dismissing their accomplishments because they must have been a DEI student or higher, those aren't political issues. Those are social issues. And in that context, Charlie Kirk was one of the leading hateful people spreading the rhetoric and dividing America. His whole platform was literally about dividing America. And on top of that, he was going in and using the propaganda that he pushed in colleges and even in high schools. So what he was honestly doing for the conservative right wing was being their recruiter at the college and high school levels.
Yep.
Like, he was dangerous.
Yep, I agree. And again, I go back to saying what we both have been saying over the course of the last several days. He did not deserve this. This is horrible. I feel for his family.
Celebrating it.
Yeah, we're certainly not celebrating it in any way, shape, or form. I was very emotional the other day not because I felt so horrible for Charlie Kirk so much as the circumstances of it, his family, everybody that was there. It was gruesome, and it's bad for America. And it was emotional to have to talk about that. And I was supposed to be debating Charlie Kirk in some sort of roundtable debate in December in Phoenix. Obviously, that's not going to happen. And listen, I'm tired of people, when a tragedy happens, blaming transgenders or blaming a political party. We need to talk about
even know who it is.
Right. Let's talk about guns. Let's talk about how easy it must have been for this 22-year-old to get his hand on this weapon. Let's talk about guns getting in the hands of the wrong people. Let's try to save lives. I don't care what the color of their skin is. I don't care whether they're a Republican or a Democrat. MAGA Republicans refuse to do that. They refuse to do that. Have any of them even mentioned once, how did this 22-year-old get his hands on this gun? Clearly he was mentally deranged. No. The radical left. Blame the radical left. And I'm so tired of it. These MAGA Republicans, they have no solutions. None. Zero.
No. And then when you call for gun control, they get mad at you. Like, that's your solution? It's like, yeah.
Or you're making
do you have something
political. Yeah, you're making it political, even though for the last 3 or 4 days, all they've been doing is blaming the left for the shooting, not even knowing who the shooter was.
Exactly. So it's just kind of like, okay, there's no reasoning with these people. And unfortunately, exactly what a lot of us were worried about is what's happening, is that it is only making the divide between the sides even wider and deeper.